United States of America. Unity and oneness is what we're made of. One nation under God, it's plain to see. We're showing the whole world what a country should be. United we stand in America, hand in hand in America. Together as one in a land that we love. United we stand in America.
Good evening, everyone out there. Welcome to Changing Times. It is Wednesday, March the 18th. I tell you what, it's going to be a beautiful day in the Springfield, Southwest Missouri area, and low 70s this afternoon, and even warmer the rest of the week as we get closer and closer to spring. We are live at the Axe Media Group headquarters in Springfield, Missouri, and I tell you what, we have a great show lined up. I am so happy that Dr. Mary Byrne is back. She's been gone all session since January.
Yeah, I'm back to my guest status.
Yes, you are our co-host, but actually guest co-host today. Yeah. But no, so we really missed her, and so we really are glad that she's back. And she is the executive director of the Joint Committee on Education in the Missouri Senate. Also works with the House side, and hopefully we've got someone that will continue to make our education system better in the state of Missouri. And then today we have a very special guest, a friend of mine, and that is Dr. Cindy Baker. How are you doing?
Well, I'm doing great. Thank you for having me here.
Well, I tell you what, I'm so glad. We've known each other for a long time.
A long time.
And your husband, Dr. Jay Baker,
yes.
He's an MD, and he was a pain doctor.
That's correct, and an anesthesiologist.
Anesthesiologist.
Right.
So
A no pain doctor.
well, they're pretty important.
Right.
Everybody seems to have pain from time to time.
Exactly.
But she's an educator too. She is a counselor, and I'm going to have Dr. Mary Byrne read her resume,
bio, which is quite extensive.
Yeah.
Dr. Baker is a licensed professional counselor and a national certified counselor practicing in the state of Missouri. As a business owner, consultant, executive empowerment life coach, motivational speaker, and published researcher, she remains focused on ways to encourage others to grow and thrive in today's climate of uncertainty. Dr. Baker was recognized as a Missourian of the Year in 2018, Springfield Business Journal's Healthcare Companion Therapist of the Year for Southwest Missouri in 2016, and received the Alumni of the Year for Excellence in Public Affairs by Missouri State University in 2014. She received a gubernatorial appointment from Governor Mike Parson in 2019 to serve on the Committee for Professional Counselors. Today, she serves as chair over 12,000 counselors in the state of Missouri. Dr. Baker owns Touchstone Counseling, LLC, Touchstone Helping Families, Touchstone Consulting, LLC, Touchstone Education Center, and Baker Consulting Services, LLC. You're a busy lady.
I'm busy.
Yeah, and then I know she's written articles, research articles, things like that, been published in several publications. And honestly, I've followed Dr. Cindy Baker for a long time, and you are a difference maker. You are a very important difference maker.
Thank you.
And I think that's really important. I will tell you, out of all the people that we've had on our show, 285 shows today, folks. We've got people watching all over the country, around the world, and they're all been difference makers. We don't have anybody on our show that's not a difference maker, but I always wanted to let people know that because some people don't think of themselves as a difference maker, but you certainly are. And I want to make sure that people understand what the Missourian Award is. You got that in 2018, and you and Dr. Jay Baker went up to St. Louis, and I'm not sure what that hotel was.
It was the Chase,
okay.
Chase Plaza.
Okay. And I went up there in 2010. I was elected to that group in 2010, and you're in 2018. And I tell you what, it's quite an honor. Walt Disney, he was nominated and elected to that. Several famous people. I don't think I'm in the league of Walt Disney or anything like that. I'm not sure how I got on, but they must have thought I was somebody else. But for you, congratulations.
Thank you.
And it's an honor. But today we're going to talk about mental health. You know, ever since COVID, it's been a problem. Even back when I was a state rep in 2012, we started having shootings in theaters, places in churches and theaters, grocery stores, things that should be safe in this country. And all of a sudden, we started having shootings, and I looked to see how much money was being spent in the state of Missouri on mental health, and it wasn't very much. It was millions, but it wasn't very much. And then after all that stuff started happening, we started spending more money in this state. But I know money is always an issue and tight with budgets, but we need to continue to spend more money with mental health. And I think one of the problems we have is we don't have a place to keep those people. They're diagnosed with different mental health issues, but we don't have safe places for them to live. A lot of them become homeless and they don't take their medication or whatever, and so they cause a problem for the rest of the society. Today, we're very lucky because we have a counselor that is a professional counselor that deals with all kinds of things, and I think it's going to be and you might have a pencil and paper because you might want to write some notes down. But our first question really, Dr. Baker, is are you seeing more people needing to come to a counselor now than you have? Seems to be increasing?
Very good question. And post-COVID, I have tripled the size of my companies. What we are finding is during COVID, families were residing together under one roof. Some said COVID was the best thing that ever happened to them. They rediscovered family dinner time. They had time to get together with their faith. But for many others during that time, their lives were very chaotic. We saw 1 in 3 individuals with an anxiety diagnosis. We saw 1 in 4 with depression. And what happened at my company, we had 1 weekend to move from face-to-face offices to telehealth, which was viewing a client on my big desktop screen. I was doing 12 sessions a day in telehealth, one after the other, and that is when the dynamics changed, because it wasn't the old counseling where we had a catastrophe or someone was suicidal or someone had already experienced a trauma, and now we're having to go to counseling, dreading it, feeling like we're not adequate because somebody else has to help us with our problem. The old stigma of counseling changed immediately because we became a lifeline. And people were wanting to talk to their counselors more than 1 session a week because they felt better. Also, they realized during COVID that counseling could be proactive and not reactive. That continues. And so the face of counseling changed. However, with the increase of technology in our homes and our lives and our schools, people say, I can't turn life off. Mm-hmm. They no longer can unplug and go home after a day of work and be able to sit with their family and not have to pick up a phone call. And I'm back from landline days. And I remember growing up, my father just took the phone off the hook. Yeah. Okay? Mm-hmm. We were able to have family dinner. We did homework time. We were we had goals, boundaries, and expectations, which I think today guided me in who I am today.
You know, that's interesting because one characteristic that was found across all studies of Rhodes Scholars and what made these successful students was that their families had dinner together.
I don't doubt
It wasn't
that.
socioeconomic level.
How about that?
It was discussion around the dinner table. What did you learn today? You know, a value of education that was communicated to the children
Right.
from the parents at that central time for family. And I remember when my daughter was in high school and on the debate team, and her debate partner would want her to continue, you know, creating the briefs during dinner hour. I said, no, I'm coming to pick you up and you're going to have dinner at home.
Good.
And very few families, I think, even know that is something that should happen because we've been so driven to get ahead and have success. And it's not necessarily competing to be the best, it's just competing to survive. And I do a lot of research on what's driving our culture at this point. Right. It's human capital theory. And that's what's been driving federal policies. It's this focus on materialism and that education is for getting a job, not for becoming who you are. We've really, as a country and as a culture, been fed a narrative basically by the universities, the federal government, and the business elites that our survival as a country depends on this transition from education. And a centerpiece of that is proficiency in technology, which is where you're going to go today.
Well, my concern too is the breakup of the family, because what we're doing, we have children who are very strong athletes in school starting games at 8 o'clock at night, 8:30 at night.
And on Sundays during church.
And on Sundays during church. We also find that they have practices immediately after school that then impact the dinner hour for the family.
That's right.
So I have so many families that I work with that say we would give anything to be able to put cell phones away during the dinner hour. And write that down, please. When you have your family time, no cell phones
That's
allowed. They would love to be able to do that, but the demands of a lot of the athletic departments interfere with those quality times in the home. So they have to pick and choose their priorities. And so many athletes want to perform, of course.
Sure,
it's a
because
calling.
it's a threat. You can't make it to the position you want on the team if you are not there reliable when they say. Okay, so if they're scheduling on Sundays, no, you don't go to church, and I think that's awful. When I first moved to Missouri, and I was on faculty at a particular university, I was told, don't schedule anything for Wednesday evenings. That's when people go to church. Okay, so the institutions respected that part of our culture. Now they don't.
No, they use every night of the week and every day of the week. This feeds back into our youth and their busyness. And so with the technology, with the social media, they are now addicted to what others feel about them through social media apps. They have lost the ability for face-to-face communication because they're performing for others on social media, and they want to count the number of likes that they get on their posts. So they are defining their self-worth by a perception of others that they do not even know, and they count those likes. I had a student say yesterday that she had to rewrite a post, and she was in a very bad mood because she didn't get the number of likes and the responses that she anticipated. So what I'm finding from a mental health standpoint is that our youth is not spending enough face-to-face time with social others in their lives to pick up on appropriate nonverbal cues, to learn how to put their feelings into words. And they are on their phones. They're on their tablets. They're on their laptops. We're finding that they never turn off. And I want to mention this so I don't forget. I had an expert share with me that when you are putting your child to bed at the end of the day, or your high schooler is finally calling it a day, that from the point they stop looking at a screen until their brain is capable of shutting down is a minimum of 1 hour for anybody. So we have our youth, and I'm going to say high schoolers, who take their cell phones to bed. We have 8-year-olds and 9-year-olds who also take their cell phones to bed. But I think the greatest population right now are our youth in high school, and they'll tell me they do that because somebody may need them, or a friend may need to talk to them all night because they had a breakup. What does that impact? How about their sleep? And for those of us who have studied the importance of sleep, they go to school in the morning, they're not able to focus, and they're very, very grumpy and lethargic. So they're going 24/7 with their phone, and they're not disconnecting.
That's right. There's a lawsuit in Los Angeles that's ongoing right now. A young woman in her early 20s suing Google, YouTube, I forget the other platforms, but she's suing them because of they deliberately build in addictive features into the platforms to keep the viewers hooked. I call it the Joe Camel strategy because the tobacco industry did the same thing.
Exactly.
And targeted the youth with Joe Camel, right? And they know they're doing this because they want lifelong customers on these platforms. So she's suing them, and in the lawsuit, her attorney presents emails, internal emails. It says, yeah, they knew about this, and they designed it that way because it's part of the business model.
Well, Dr. Mary, where you see that, yes, is the constant scrolling.
Yeah.
And so they're constantly, their brains, the dopamine, they're constantly re-stimulated.
Yeah.
And so when they do that for hours and hours, what we're also finding is that they cannot handle delayed gratification. They cannot handle boredom. They don't know how to be quiet. They don't know how to cherish me time, self-care. And so in counseling, we are spending an inordinate amount of time teaching now, which I think Dr. Mary would appreciate hearing. And I do feel that we are very educationally based now with the need for self-care, the need to understand we have to put those devices down. They're harmful to you. And parents need to understand they're doing their job. It's good parenting to set boundaries on the devices.
There's another lawsuit in Utah, and it's parents suing because their young son is now addicted to pornography, and he got access to it through the school-issued technology. So it goes beyond just this, it's the predators out there, you know, in the dark world, knowing how to use that technology to access children. And we've got parents here in Missouri who are trying to get through to the elected officials, particularly the Secretary of State's office, that MoreNet, which is the state-funded, basically online library that pushes out access to different platforms and websites to our public libraries, to our schools. There is a way through MoreNet that this pornography can get accessed by kids. So clearly the state didn't have any intention of that, but it's the platform that unless it's reviewed scrupulously, you don't know what those hidden doors are. But the kids will find it, you know.
I've done quite a bit of research on pornography and what that does to a child's brain. And I think an interesting fact that startled me is they say that a child can be addicted the very first time that they look at pornography because of what is called the dopamine spike, the pleasure center neurotransmitter in their brain will hook them, oftentimes equal to the first time someone uses meth.
Oh.
Wow.
So this is a very serious subject, and I have worked with youth who have become addicted to pornography and want help to get images out of their head, and they're very young.
Yeah, so
They're
having
very young.
access to technology without the supervision, without the bumpers that need to be put on it. But this whole technology culture is built into, believe it or not, the Common Core standards that got adopted by all these states throughout the country. And in the state of Missouri, you know, trust me, this isn't the first time the public's heard this. The Common Core standards got renamed in the state of Missouri as Missouri Learning Standards. There's a few massaging of words, but it's essentially the same thing. They're English language arts and reading standards include literacy in technology starting in kindergarten. They want these kids enculturated in this world starting in kindergarten. By grade 3, they have to start writing basically a one-page paper. Keyboarding, they want them proficient on keyboarding, not handwriting, because the tech industry is trying to enculturate these kids on a tech-only world. And what that has done, talk about the neuroscience involved in this, handwriting is known to activate more centers of the brain than keyboarding. So we're actually dumbing down our kids, even in terms of being able to read off of a page. The brain is better stimulated by print on paper than it is print on the screen. Yet we're handing these kids in kindergarten the tablets, loading it up with software, calling it reading, and the kids aren't learning. Then we wonder why. Well, the tech industry isn't going to tell you, right?
Right.
But they're blaming the teachers. They're blaming the teachers for not knowing how to teach. And here's my response to that. It's not that they don't have the heart to do it. Is that this is the second generation of students coming through the education system to be the teacher prep system who's been raised in that technology culture. And so what we're doing is we're recycling our problem. And we've got to cut that down by revamping our higher education system to have teacher preparation programs go back to reading novels.
Right.
That's something that I'm doing all the talking here. I apologize. But one more thing.
No, it's fascinating.
You'll find
Please
this in the
continue.
New York Times. One of the ways the school districts have been cutting costs on books is by taking excerpts out of novels and loading it onto these devices, because you don't violate copyright if you only have an excerpt and you don't have to pay for the book.
All right.
Okay?
I did not know
So
that.
now you have college freshmen who have never read a novel. And we wonder why our college candidates don't have the knowledge and background that our applicants two generations ago had. It's technology.
Hey, folks out there, so one thing that you're just seeing and hearing right now is two very smart women who understand a lot of things.
Who have a burro under their saddle.
And so that's exactly why, Dennis, you and me need to push up our work performance a little bit, I think. So we got some heavy competition here. But I want to go to another question. We'll have to have part 2 and part 3 of this show if we don't get done with my questions.
I won't be back though. You'll have to handle it.
You have to.
But anyway, I think we've probably pretty well discussed it. But is there any other current issues that you see out of your practice that's affecting what you're doing today?
I'm going to go back to what Dr. Mary was talking about, if I may, because I find it fascinating. My background as a mental health counselor, I do not have a background, as most do, in clinical psychology, criminal justice. My background is in early child development, and I'm going to age myself, but I have 50 years. I was also a teacher. So I'm a very strong advocate of early testing, early assessment by 3rd grade. And I feel like, I wonder, hearing you talk today, I wonder what our assessments would show if we are introducing technology in kindergarten.
Do you want the answer?
I want to know what you think if we can do early intervention, which is what is recommended. What do you think we're going to find on our assessment outcomes in our youth by 3rd grade?
If you look at the NAEP scores, National Assessment of Education Progress, they don't test in 3rd grade, they test in 4th and 8th grade, okay? But you look at English, language arts, reading, and math, and the curve is the same. Starting in 2000, when the NAEP scores were being collected, you see this upward trajectory over time up until 2010. And in 2010 is when Common Core got introduced in association with this technology education, okay? And when you go back and you look at those Common Core standards, and in Missouri, they were adopted by the state board, but you see that's when handwriting got deleted. Again, it was to push this keyboarding thing. So starting in 2010, and down before COVID in 2020, all right? The people who want to project a good public image of education will tell you COVID is the milestone that caused this decline. That's not true. Mm-hmm. The downward curve of the NAEP starts in about 2013, 2014. And that's when it was fully implemented and they started the online assessments aligned to the Common Core standards. Then this trajectory goes almost this mirror image. As the curve went up on this side of 2010, it went down to 2020. When was the last NAEP? This is 26, so I think it's 24. And now, our math scores in 8th grade are exactly what they were in 2000.
That is very concerning.
All right, now, that's the NAEP. This is the United States test. Okay, and English language arts looks very similar in that kind of curve pattern. If you look at the PISA, which is an international test of reading and mathematics given to 15-year-olds, the same curve happens. Okay. When technology gets introduced at about that 2010, that's when all of these tests went online. And I'm going to say all of them because there's more international tests. I'll get there. But the PISA starts to decline across the globe in all countries. It has nothing to do with socioeconomic. It's this pattern that happens. And it looks just like the NAEP. There's another test called the Pearls, which is the test for reading. Same curve. The TIMS, which is an international test for mathematics and science. Same curve. Okay? And this is what Jared Coney Horvath, he's a neuroscience specialist. He lives in Seattle, but I think his university affiliation is in Australia. But he's where Jonathan Haidt wrote The Anxious Generation about cell phones, and suddenly there was this wave of legislation across the country. We got to ban cell phones in the classroom. Now, Jared Coney Horvath has written The Digital Delusion. And he's saying, look, there's no difference between the screen on a cell phone and the screen on your devices, right? You can do the same damage with it.
Exactly.
Why aren't we getting rid of these devices in the classroom? Now, nobody's saying they won't be helpful after the brain is got a chance to develop. But there's a profile called digital dementia. The cortical development or lack of development, neural connections of young brains, because these devices are getting introduced to babies, right? Parents want these babysitters and things. If you have YouTube cartoons, then they're quiet, then everything's good. That shouldn't be your metric for good.
Let me say this. I did give a community talk years ago on the effects of social media on youth, and I had a packed house. And I started my PowerPoint with showing children playing outside in a swing set. And I just wanted to prove a point that if you drive through some neighborhoods now, you don't see children out playing anymore.
Right.
I was actually met with a hostile audience because they said they would rather their children play on the devices day and night than to be exposed to neighborhoods.
Yeah, that's interesting, and that's all right. So there's problems in my mind with Piaget's theory. Okay, because he used his kids as his sample.
He did.
Okay.
He did.
That's a good start.
He did.
That said, it is a classic theory, okay? Think of all of these early childhood people who are being taught to put devices in front of these kids, when Piagetian theory has said you need sensory motor stimulation to develop the brain. Tablets will not do that. And so you are basically causing ADD, right? Attention deficit disorder. And this anxiety and depression through the addiction of these kids to having what YouTube is set up to do, YouTube for babies, kids, is to have these video shorts show one after another. So it's always these images flashing in front of the eyes. And what you do then is you don't stimulate imagination and creativity, which is what you're saying. It's not just boredom. It's what do you do with boredom? Well, you start to think of ways to get out of boredom. But if you're constantly being entertained with these images, you never have the opportunity to develop that strategy of creativity, imagination, reading a book. You know, where you started with this cartoon of kids. I had one too, and it was kids in a circle with this very long stick pushing a book, saying, "What is it?
Oh, right.
What is it? Will it hurt me?" Well, no, but it might challenge you.
I think what's interesting too, I had a business owner tell me that he's struggling with hiring youth, 16 and 17-year-olds to work, that what he's finding is they appear cognitively to be about 2 years younger than back in the day, pre-whatever, probably 2013. But business owners are finding that with our youth, they are not as cognitively responsible or aware in the workplace to be able to work at 16. I find that really bothersome.
Well, what's interesting, though, and an ironic contradiction, is that this technology is getting pushed in the schools for workforce development. Okay? So if business owners would take a look at their own agenda and say, if we really want people prepared to be astute and capable human beings in our places of work, we have to put the technology away. But it's the businesses that are pushing this stuff. And that's why I mentioned who I did before. But I'm not going to go there now.
Well, hey, I tell you what, let's get to another question. But honestly, great information, great information. These will be a couple real easy questions. So I think you've already talked about anxiety as one out of three, I think you said. And is that the most common that we see today?
In counseling, no.
No?
I think what
Okay,
we're
what do you
seeing right now is loneliness.
Loneliness,
If
okay.
you look at the statistics right now on people coming in,
So your cell phones can't keep you from being lonely?
but they're supposed to. Okay, and you nailed it.
Yeah, I know. That's why I'm
So,
saying that.
We're finding that people are coming in and they're craving a relationship.
Mm-hmm.
So guess what we're becoming? As
Their friends.
Their friend. Actually, we're their safe place. I love it. I wish we would have done this 30 years ago. But people are coming in now or on the screen. If they live in St. Louis or Kansas City, it's difficult to travel, so we will meet with them on telehealth. They are craving a healthy relationship with someone who understands them, where they can be genuinely themselves. And again, as I used the word earlier, they're not performing to get approval from all of these 400 or 4,000 friends that are sending them likes on social media. There is isolation in technology. There is no ability to have eye contact, to watch for appropriate nonverbals.
To get a hug.
Get a hug. How about empathy? And do the research on empathy. How do we feel that somebody's empathic through a screen?
Jerry Coney Horvath addresses that. He said the reason technology is not a good teacher is because empathy requires two people. Empathy is not the same as sympathy.
Exactly.
It is a shared communication face to face.
Right.
And that's why the teacher-student relationship is so important to occur face to face, whether it's in a classroom or homeschool or whatever. The point is, it's a transference of a shared understanding between two human beings. And when these geniuses, and it did happen in the progressive era, decided that software could standardize instruction and become a better teacher than humans, that's when psychologists started developing these teaching machines and thought we could make superhuman beings from software. It's just not true. And who cares? Who wants to be superhuman being if you're unhappy?
And that is the anxiety and depression conflict.
Yes.
There's quite a bit of new research out that talks about that internal conflict for people who feel like they're compromising who they really are so that they can espouse what they think others want to hear from them. We can't do that. I mean, we have to go through life with a level of self-confidence and self-esteem that helps us feel like we matter, Maslow's hierarchy of needs, that we belong, that someone loves us, and that we're safe. How can we feel safe if we're always acting? And we've got a mask on, and we're going through life hoping that we get many likes because of something we posted, which may be in direct opposition to what we truly believe at our core value. So that's what we're seeing quite a bit of too, are fragile people who are craving solid, healthy relationships.
Well, that's intimacy.
Intimacy.
You
is the
can't
word.
have intimacy. There's 3 I's, right? Let me see, with independence, intimacy, and what's the third one?
I can't remember. Intimacy, isolation, not integrity.
No.
That would be mine. That's my favorite word.
It had to do with relationship. It has to do independence.
Okay.
What adolescents are going through. Independence, intimacy, which sounds contradictory, but
I
it's
was going to say
independence.
igloo. So
Independence from parents in childhood to transition
Just
to their
teasing.
own adulthood. So it's a transition from that independence from the family to intimacy with another, so to start their own family. They're going through this transition period. So it's independence, intimacy, and now I've lost the other third one.
Did you say independence?
Independence, intimacy,
and isolation? No.
No,
I
it's
don't
3
know.
positives, and I'll get to it. Maybe in the next show.
Hey, well, I'll tell you
The
what.
point is, it's
Did you
not
say
easy being a
okay?
teenager, and when you introduce this addictive device, it's trying to satisfy those. Like you think you can get stardom, and that will be a new kind of affirmation, rather than the intimacy of your grandmother giving you a hug. Right? It's bogus.
There's another piece to it in relation to the 3 I's, and that is the number of people that are failure to launch since COVID, because they all piled into a household together because they lost jobs and they couldn't work and businesses closed. And so we had the adult child in the basement with their kids or whatever, and everybody shared resources at that time to pay bills. Well, now I have senior parents asking how do they get their adult children independent again and out of the basement. And it's their downstairs. It's probably lovely, but it's their downstairs.
I don't
and
know what to
how-
do with that, because I'm
how
a big fan of the Waltons.
Can I jump up?
I like 3 generations in a house.
Yeah.
Provided they all get along. I don't have a problem with that, as long as they respect
so
boundaries.
let's go to, we're going to have the last question here, and then we're going to break for our sponsors, and we'll give you the last word. But real simple, real quick. The people out there that's watching today, listening today, this is a normal thing. People with mental health illnesses, from A to Z, it's normal. A lot of people I know think that it's abnormal, that they're not normal people. This is normal life. And honestly, if you had a relationship with Jesus Christ, you would actually probably not have as many mental health problems as you have today.
Yeah.
So that's my solution, because I'm not trained like these 2 ladies are, and I absolutely know that Jesus Christ would keep you
Jesus
from
will
having
always
some of
affirm
them.
you.
Yeah.
He will always affirm you.
And so if you want a relationship, there's the one, okay? But what's the age group, Dr. Baker, of what you're seeing from young to old? What is it?
Me personally or my agency?
Well, your whole agency.
Okay,
What's everybody
we
seeing?
would start at age 2
2.
to 90.
Okay, see that's a normal age group. You're not abnormal out there. You have a lot of hope, and you need to have faith.
Right.
And you need to go seek counseling, pray, learn who Jesus Christ is. All those things are positive things. But let's go to the last question. So what are some tips that you can give our audience today to really maybe give them hope?
I would like to be able to help parents who are listening today understand that by setting boundaries for your children, it is not punishment. And so honestly, the best thing you can do, and I ask all of my families to do this, is to, at the end of the day, have every family member put their cell phone on a charger in the kitchen. And parents, be role models. Go ahead, unless your job dictates that you have your cell phone, which many do, and I do see many first responders, physicians, individuals that can get calls throughout the evening, throughout the night. But go ahead and be role models, and let's get the technology out of the bedroom. When you do have time as a family, use that as quality, quiet time. Check in with your children and help them learn to put their feelings into words under your care. Because we want them to be able to go through life expressing their emotions. We teach that, of course, in counseling, but that's something you can do at home as well. But you are wonderful parents. Our children do not fully have the ability to have reasoning until about age 25 is what they're finding now. So your job as a parent is to teach common sense and reasoning. And you're doing a great job, but don't be afraid to take those devices away and build in quality time for your family.
That's right. Be the adult in the room, right?
Right, be the
They're
adult
not.
in the
The
room.
children are not adults.
Yes.
You have to be the adult.
Be the adult.
And sometimes their manipulation strategy is to make you uncomfortable.
Right.
Don't let it happen, you know?
Right.
And you guys are talking about tough love.
Tough love.
I mean, honestly, that's hard.
Yeah.
That's a hard thing for adults. That's a hard thing for leaders sometimes. Yeah. But you have to do the right thing, and sometimes it will be hard to begin with. But once you do it, I'm sure that it's much better. I know our family, we weren't perfect either. We blended kids together, but we did have that time at night after dinner, and we studied 1 hour. Everybody had to study at the table after we cleared the table off. And then after that, the kids could go to their own room, and we hoped that they would continue to study. And we'd sometimes walk around and see, but they were on their honor system.
No televisions in the bedroom.
Yeah, and we didn't have that. We had
Right.
a large one in the family room downstairs, and we had one upstairs.
Right.
But that's it. Hey, so I'm going to talk about our sponsors, and then we're going to give Dr. Baker the last word. This has been great today. I hope people have enjoyed this and learned something.
You know
So-
why I like this show? Because I always agree with with everybody.
Well, I tell you what, hopefully we're giving good information, and we really do care for everybody that watches our shows. I know Jim Whiting has a great show. We have great shows. Dennis has great shows. We're all we're all volunteers. Nobody gets paid for this. And we just try to help people all around our country and in particular our state here. But I'm going to talk about two really good businesses right now that make this show possible. Brad Pistow, he is a certified fiduciary financial planner located in Ozark, Missouri. It's an amazing thing that this man is one of the best in the United States, not just in the state of Missouri. And he has written a couple books called, first one, Safe Money Matters, and the second one is Bulletproof. And both of those books are #1 best-selling books on financial retirement and on Amazon. You can buy those books, but even better, write this number down, 417-581-9222. 417-581-9222. When you call that number, Lisa will answer the phone, and she's one of the smartest, and just like these ladies, she also is licensed, and she can help you, but she's also very nice. And so she will get you free books. She'll send you some books, send you information, and you're going to say, hey, I don't live in Missouri. I live in Oklahoma. I live in Texas. I live someplace, California. I mean, no, you don't have to live in Missouri to get Brad Pistow to help you. He's licensed in 18 states. He knows people in all the other states because he speaks all over the country giving talks on retirement planning. He writes for the Wall Street Journal. He writes for USA Today. He writes for all kinds of things and important documents and magazines and books and stuff. So he knows people, and he can hook you up with other people, connect you to those people that will help you. And he has a great saying that he's going to help you make sure that you don't run out of life before you run out of money. That's what people worry about. They're worried that I'm not going to have enough money to live during my last days of retirement. You're not going to have to worry about that with him. I've used Brad Pistow for a long time, and not only has he secured my retirement plan for my wife and I, and for my inheritance of my kids, he's secured that, but he also has made me money. His son is a licensed security agent. I used to sell stocks and insurance and things like that. I know who those people are that are really good. And I also buy investments through his son, Hunter. And so then they also have a family member that promotes and sells Medicare, that knows all the questions that you're going to have about Medicare. So the family's going to help the umbrella of all the things you need about finances. But they're located in Ozark, Missouri, and I'm telling you what, we'll have them on probably in April or May. I always like to have my sponsors on, and he'll give some great advice about what's going on in this chaotic world right now and what you need to do with your money. But honestly, Brad Pistow is the guy to go to, and I highly recommend him. Our other sponsor is Springfield Nissan, Springfield Kia, used to be Youngblood Motor Group. That's John Whittaker, and John's a great friend of ours. Both of these sponsors have been sponsors always through my 7.5 years as your morning coffee, my political show, and then also 5 years plus on this show. And these are tremendous sponsors. So they sell Kias and they sell Nissans. And I bought a Kia back on September 1st of last year, and I actually loved it. I actually love it probably better than my Grand Cherokee Jeep Summit, top of the line. I've had 3 of them in a row, which I bought from them. But I bought this Sorrento, and I really, really like it. And then today, Mary pops up in the parking lot. Hadn't seen her for a while.
Nissan Rogue.
With a Nissan Rogue,
Yeah.
which is I tried first, but I thought maybe it was a little bit smaller for me than what I needed, but perfect for Mary.
Yeah.
And just a beautiful car. They're just great cars and a lot of safety features and
Yes.
things like that.
Which is what I bought it for.
Yeah, because you're driving back and forth to Jefferson City just like me when I used to do that.
And Aaron couldn't have been nicer.
Oh, yeah. So Aaron Swanson is the general manager. He'll be on our show and in April or May, and he's going to tell you all about why you buy, why you lease, all kinds of things you need to know about cars. I think that's really important because that's an expensive investment that people have to make. And they are absolutely great in service. They've been in business over 45 years, one of the oldest family-owned dealerships. And people go, okay, I don't live in Missouri, so why do I care? No, they have sold cars and still sell cars 8 states. So 8 states out of 50. And there are people who probably right now could even go to Springfield Nissan, Springfield Kia, in that 9th or 10th state and actually do business with them. These guys are so good. They are so good, and I know they gave Mary a great deal. And if you tell them that Dr. Mary and I sent you and Changing Time sent you, they will definitely make sure that they give you great price, great trade-in, great service. You won't be disappointed. But anyway, our 2 great sponsors. So, Dr. Cindy Baker, what's our last word? I heard that you're running for Ozark School Board.
I am running for Ozark School Board.
Why?
It's time for me to run for Ozark School Board. I feel that it's imperative to have someone on the board that has child development knowledge, to understand cognitive development. I also feel that my work in the mental health field as a counselor can help strengthen the board in making future decisions related to children.
Yeah, do you believe it's a calling?
It is my calling. I have wanted to be on the school board for decades, but as a very busy mom with 2 children through the years, it just was not possible. And I returned back to school for a master's at age 40 and a doctorate at 42. So this is the time.
Yeah.
We're empty nesters, and I have a lot of time to give and a lot of experience and knowledge to share.
Yeah. You know what? Dr. Cindy Baker would be a good school board member up in Springfield, too.
You'd have to move.
Yeah, I know that. I know that, but I'm not trying to steal her. But I mean, we have a hard time up in Springfield area to get the right school board members on there, and it's very important. You know, when I was on the school board for 2 terms at Ozark, I did it, and I do believe it's a calling. I believe public service is a calling. I think I've always followed what God wanted me to do, and I think He wanted me to do that. I also knew, though, that with our 3 kids, our 2 girls, I didn't have to worry about them studying and making good grades. It was our son that we worried about. Not that he wasn't smart, that he wasn't able to study and do well. It was just that he didn't see I could never get him to see
The long-term effects.
And so I actually went on, myself and Mike Woody, a good friend of ours down at Ozark that was big with Johnny, with the Hershans down there. He at Silver City, he and I'd sit together and we'd hold hands and pray. Older adults, but at the school board meeting, we would pray that our son didn't get mentioned before the school board meeting was over with. It wasn't too bad, but it was close at times, and so.
I mean, what are kids for, right?
Yeah, so he was a challenge, but now he does great. But no, so that's kind of one of the reasons why. But very important, school board selections coming up in April. I think in the Southwest Missouri area, in Missouri, April 7th. Everyone needs to go out and vote on these April elections, city council, different positions going on, because these are the local people. These are the ones that's making decisions that you're going to be affected by, whether one way or the other, whether you like it or you don't like it.
And if you don't vote, you have no right to complain.
You have no right to complain. And so, honestly, we need to do that. Next week, we're going to have part 2 of flock cameras. That's those license plate cameras. Controversial, positive, negative. We want to finish that up. We'll have presiding commissioner from Camden County, Ike Skelton, on the show with me now, because you'll be gone again.
That's right.
And then also we'll have Ron Sanders from Nixa. And as always, if you have a comment, we would love for you to send us some information. Send us a question. Let us know what you thought about this show or anything else. 4321 ACTS at gmail.com. 4321 ACTS at gmail.com. Have a great rest of the week, and we'll be back next week. Thank you.
We're the United States of America. Unity and oneness is what we're made of. One nation under God, it's plain.